Good day, folks. Everything new under the sun. We are headed to war, and we are headed towards, possibly even the second seal. As I spoke about in the last video, it is an interesting idea that the first seal, indeed, was the pandemic. Remember, what are these last times for? Before we're taken out, and then even after when the wrath of God falls, they are to ultimately it's being used by God to get people off the fence. He's given you, 60, 70, 80, 100 years, whatever it may be of life to make a decision. Some people are not making a decision. They're sitting on the fence. They'll say, well, I don't know, I don't quite know if I believe there's a God. I'm agnostic, I'm not atheist. I'm not quite sure. But he's going to get people off the fence. And ultimately, he is not going to leave anybody with the excuse that, well, you didn't give me enough time, or, well, I didn't make a decision, so you can't put me in hell. And so that's what this is for. It's a time of reckoning. It's a time of increasing trouble, trials, tribulation, in order to for the Christians to firm up, to solidify their faith, and for the non-Christians to decide. Finally, will I be for Christ or not? Will I go against him? And there will be nobody on the fence when the Lord returns with the wrath of God. And this is really a legal slash justice thing that God has to do before the wrath of God falls upon the earth. Because God is just, he's going to ratchet up the pressure so that people get off the fence. They choose Jesus or not. Again, if he didn't do that, people would complain. You put me into hell, and you didn't give me a chance on earth. And he's going to say, I gave you all the chances. In the last days, leading up to my wrath, God is going to say, I ratcheted up the tension. I gave you all the signs of the seasons and the troubles and trials and tribulations, to the point where you made a decision for or against me, and you chose against me. And so could the pandemic be one of those birth pains, one of those ratcheting up events? Then the second seal would be another level from the pandemic. If you thought the pandemic was scary, and the authoritarianism and the lockdown stuff was scary, wait till the second seal starts, and seal starts, and World War III comes. It will be lockdowns in the form of martial law, and there will be not just propaganda and psyops like they did during the pandemic. There will be wartime psyops and propaganda by your own government. Go look at the history books of what happened in World War II with the psyops of propaganda, the rah, rah, rah for your, whatever your nation was, against whoever the boogeyman was during that period. Folks, everything is replaying. You will see the same again. So, could the second seal be World War III? And could we be entering that period? That's an interesting thought, and I think we could very well be on that track. So has the first horse ridden? Maybe it has. Is the second horse riding? I think the second horse is riding. I think we're in the middle of World War III, folks. Let's take a look at a couple of things here. Let's get rid of that. Let's start off with this. China is actively preparing for World War III. You can't see that there. China is actively preparing for war with who? The United States. They are not really part of the Russia-Ukraine situation, but know this. They have the backs of Russia. Russia and China have an agreement. They are doing lots of trade right now. China has got Russia's back if NATO comes against Russia. Don't kid yourself. At a time when their economy is really struggling, and remember, they take you to war when the economy struggles. That's what's happening in the United States. To preserve the world reserve currency, the United States is taking us to war. And likewise, China's economy is struggling. That means they will take their people to war. Again, to solidify and consolidate power of the CPP, the party, the political party, and to allow for a time of reset of the currency without, the citizens blaming it on the government. They can say, well, the economy crashed, the currency is reset, but that's because we had to go to war because someone attacked us, and that's what they do. So when their economy is really struggling, the Chinese are increasing military spending, ramping up preparations for war. But who is China preparing to fight with? And it goes on. The only other opponent that the Chinese would be fighting in a major war would be the United States, folks. It's basically everybody against the world superpower right now. Here is the Gateway Pundit. After Macron floats sending troops to Ukraine, France suffers unprecedented series of cyber attacks. Don't worry, folks. This is all coincidence. Just like chicken farms and cattle farms burning and exploding, and oil plants exploding, and cyber attacks on pipelines in the United States. Don't worry. That's been happening every year forever. That's not cyber attacks. That's not Russia. Don't worry, folks. Go back to watching your movies. Stick your head in the sand. And go back to your TikTok and your cell phones and your screens. Don't pay attention to what's happening. That's what the government wants. Remember, the government's main goal is the continuity of government. Their main goal is to ensure that they stay in power so they can control and supposedly protect the population, the nation. It's not for you individually, for sure, and they're going to protect their own necks. Now, Ezekiel 38, and part of this World War III and this Middle East war that is coming, and part of the idea of the second seal breaking and peace being removed from the world. Not only will you have the Middle East, Israel, battling nations, you'll also have NATO battling Russia and China, U.S. fighting. All the nations are going to be battling. They're all going to pick a side. And what do we have in Ezekiel 38 and 39? Well, we have this alliance of nations, Russia, Turkey, Iran. And what is Turkey saying now? Could they be getting close to that alliance against Israel in terms of Ezekiel 38? Remember, I believe that this comes before, let's see, let me go down to here. I believe this comes before what I understand as the 7-year period, but are the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse already riding? It's very possible. It's a very interesting idea, and I guess I'll leave it there. But the 7-year period, I think it gets kicked off by Isaiah 17, destruction of Damascus, which, there's continued bombing around Damascus there because Iran continues to use that as a port of entry to get weapons to Hamas and Hezbollah. But Ezekiel 38 and 39, this alliance of, again, Russia, Turkey, and Iran against Israel. And so what do we have here? We have this one here. This is timesofisrael.com. There we go. Pull that down. Erdogan says Turkey firmly backs terror group Hamas, compares Netanyahu to Hitler. So we're in an age where everybody compares everybody else to Hitler. That's just what's happening. We compare, Putin to Hitler, and Putin compares Ukrainians to Hitler. Everybody's Hitler in the last days. It doesn't even mean anything anymore. Turkish president vows no one can make us qualify Hamas as a terror organization. Says his country will continue to speak openly with Hamas leaders. Turkish President Erdogan on Sunday says Ankara firmly backs Palestinian terror group Hamas amid ongoing war with Israel. So, if Israel is getting to the point of wiping Hamas out, you don't think Turkey is going to come to their rescue and do something? Absolutely. They're going to agree with Iran, and they're going to, the hook in the jaw of Russia. They're going to pull Russia into it because they have alliances. So, folks, Ezekiel 38 and 39 is very, very close to fulfillment. I believe we're in the buildup of World War III. We just don't see it. Our heads are in the sand, or we're just kind of in the middle of it. When you read the history books, it seems like World War II happened in a page or two in the history book. When you read World War III, it's going to look like it happened in a page or two of the history books. But when you're living through it, it's like slow motion destruction, slow motion train wreck. And that's what we're seeing right now. Now, the latest news about Israel is that they're gearing up. They're telling their citizens and their army, because all the citizens have to, take a place in the army for a couple of years. They are getting ready for a war with Hezbollah. Hezbollah fired, I think, 60 rockets was the latest news I saw into Israel. And so Israel's getting ready for that wider war. When Lebanon opens up, is that the final straw for Iran? When Iran has then no more proxies to lob weapons against Israel, then they join the war themselves. This is very well what I believe is occurring. Buckle up, folks. Things are getting very close to the end. It could very well be that we've already seen one of the 4 horsemen ride of Revelation chapter 6. Again, I'll have to look into that more. But could if that's accurate, Let me go to the seals again. If that's accurate, then the next thing we're looking for is open war to break out. Is peace being removed from the world? I believe it is and has been for many, many years. But is it going to accelerate to where there's just open warfare? And then after that, what comes after that? Economic collapse. Are we near economic collapse? Yes, that's why they're taking us to war, because their economies are faltering. Western nations and Eastern nations, all the nations of the world are in economic trouble because we've racked up our debt so high that there needs to be a reset. And there is economic reset every couple hundred years. Britain used to own the world reserve currency, the British pound, but that failed. And now we're using the U.S. dollar as the world reserve currency, and that will fail. All worldwide currencies, fiat currencies, world reserve currencies fail at some point, and we switch over to a new currency when they've kind of inflated everything out of the existing currency. And that's what's happening, folks. So the second seal and third seal are going to happen very, very quickly, I believe. And then when that happens, when the economy collapses, when people start running out of food and medical support and all these things, then the fourth seal, the pale horse, and death starts coming upon man, because all of a sudden we don't have fresh water, we don't have fresh food, we can't support ourselves, we don't have the big supply and demand economy in place to feed everybody, and that's when things go wild, folks. So we could very well be, in the middle of the four horsemen of the apocalypse, and that's an interesting idea. What it means for you and me if you're a Christian: get ready, get prepared. Our time is running out. Time is short now. When World War III breaks out, there will be psyops, propaganda. There will be lockdowns named martial law. That's what happens with all world wars. There's martial law in various places. The public is limited from saying things and from doing things, again, in the name of public health and safety. Right? You remember that? In the name of public health and safety, stay in your house. In the name of public health and safety, stay in your house because there could be bombers coming, right? Go read about what happened in Britain in World War III. Stay in your house. Even shut off your lights. Don't use electricity because the bombers can see that light, right? Well, now it's going to be named, climate change and maybe other reasons, or maybe there's a cyber attack which takes out our electricity so we can't even turn on our lights. So these things are coming down the pipe, guys. This is a thing you need to be prepared for, not worried about. We shouldn't be afraid, but we need to recognize that these things are upon us at this time. Thanks for watching. We'll leave it there. We'll see you in the next video.